Welcome into the Steelers Talk live show. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Thank you to all the real ones that are tuning in at the beginning of today's live program. We got about an hour and a half of Steelers content coming your way to kick off your weekend. And on today's show, we got my updated quarterback plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up first on today's show. We'll obviously talk about the latest surrounding Aaron Rodgers, but I think we also, guys, we need to start, preparing for life potentially without Aaron Rodgers. He's had over 2 weeks where the Steelers have been his only option to choose from, and now that we've gotten past the Pat McAfee big night odds, and he still has not signed, I mean, we have to question whether or not he's actually going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. So I'll go over my updated quarterback plan first up on today's show. Then our second segment today is a little bit of a fun one. I'm going to go over 5 players that if the Steelers take that player in the first round at number 21 overall, I will absolutely crash out. All right, I will be big mad if the Steelers take those 5 players in the first round. Then we'll get into my latest 7-round Steelers mock draft here. It is 7.0, and with less than 2 weeks to go into the NFL draft, we've only got a couple more of these mocks to go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in at the beginning of today's live show. I am joined by Jack Ladere. We got the Jack and Jack combo again today. Big shout out to Captain Cully for doing the Wednesday night live stream for the big night. Unfortunately, Captain Coley is sick today. So we promised you guys that we were going to do a boot race today, but Coley's not feeling too good today, so we're not going to do the boot race. But hopefully he's feeling well enough next Monday to be able to do that boot race. Plus, Coop will be back next Monday. So, Jack, this will be your last time filling in here. Thank you so much for helping us out here over the last several days. But yet, we are still discussing Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, man, nobody can hear me. Here we go.
There you go.
There we go. I was saying this. If he wasn't going to do it at the big night he was going to wait till the draft. Because this has been my conspiracy theory the entire time. He wants to be the headline as long as he can until the draft.
So you think he announces at the draft?
No, I'm not saying that.
Before the draft? After the draft?
He might do it a day or so before, but like as close to the draft as he can possibly get.
Okay, so you just think that it's for attention. He's already decided he's going to go to Pittsburgh, but he's just drawing it out as long as he can.
I've been saying this. He's got the biggest ego in all of mankind. So he wants the attention 24/7.
Okay.
So, look, will he sign there?
Let's say you. Will he be a Steeler before the start of the NFL draft? Yes or no? Right now, if I have to guess right now, guys, my best guess is no. I don't think he is.
I'm way more skeptical than I was a week ago.
Because, like, when I think about it, thinking about it logically, and maybe logic doesn't apply to Aaron Rodgers, but if we think about it logically, all right, he's had 2 weeks where the Steelers have been literally his only option to choose from in terms of a team that's willing to sign him. All right, the Giants took themselves out. The Vikings took themselves out. It's been the Steelers or nothing for over 2 weeks at this point. And my theory was, all right, well, he's excited to play for Pittsburgh. It's just he wants to help out Pat McAfee on the big night odd. Then that comes and goes, and there's still no contract. And honestly, we haven't heard anything from Aaron Rodgers. There's been no reporting. There's been no new information on Rodgers since the DK Metcalf workout. All right, and that's over 2 weeks ago at this point. I don't know what to think, Jack. I really don't. And the only thing left for him to get more information is the NFL draft. So something tells me that there's something in the NFL draft that he wants to see before he signs on the dotted line, whether that's he just wants to see who they draft so he knows exactly who's on the roster before he signs, or he's waiting to see if they draft a quarterback in round 1. Like maybe he's saying, if you draft a quarterback in round 1, I'm not going to sign with you guys. Maybe that's what's happening.
I think there's also no pressure for him. Like, I think he would be perfectly content just not playing this year.
I don't know if that's the case. I think he wants to play.
I think he wants to play, but, like, if the situation is not 100% pristine for him, he'd be like, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, and like that would be the reasoning why. Like, listen, man, the longer that this thing draws out without Rodgers deciding to go to the Steelers, the more and more it seems like he doesn't want to play for this team. And, like, if that's the case, that means that he doesn't think that this is a good enough situation to win a Super Bowl. here in Pittsburgh, which would suck for an all-time great quarterback like that to think that about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Might be a sobering reality check right there if that ends up being the case. But, of course, we're going to be covering the rest of the Rodgers saga here on Steelers Talk for as long as it draws out. Something tells me it's going to take until at least after the draft, but we'll see what ends up happening in the days and weeks to come. If you guys want to get on the show, if you have something you want to say about Rodgers, if you have something you want to say about the NFL draft, if you've got a question that you want me and Jack to answer today, you guys can donate to the show, Super Chat, Venmo, Cashapp, PayPal, are all options at your disposal to get on the show today and get your question on the program. We made over $1,000 in donations on Wednesday, so thank you guys so much for all the support that you guys really showed out on Wednesday for the big night out. So thank you guys so much for all the support you gave to us there. Also, we're going to be doing a Steelers jersey raffle. We gave away a jersey on Wednesday. We're going to give away another one whenever Aaron Rodgers finally makes his decision. So if you guys want to enter into that jersey raffle, $20 Super Chats get you one raffle ticket. $20 Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal donations get you two raffle tickets because we get to keep more of the proceeds. And then if we get to $100 total in donations today, we'll have 15 extra minutes at the end for me and Jack to talk Steelers football with you guys and take your questions. All right, so if you guys want to send in a Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal donation, these are all the areas and all the locations you can send your money into at Jack-Sperry on Venmo, # Captain Jack 19 on Cash App, and at Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. Again, guys, you get double your raffle tickets when you put in your $20 donations via these channels because we get to keep more of the proceeds when you donate to Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal as opposed to you super chatting. So thank you guys so much for all of the donations and all the support that you give to this channel. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So I just want to give my thanks to all the yins out there. All right, so let's get this party started here, and let's see who's all here. We got 200 yinzers ready to kick off the weekend with Steelers coverage. Spam those me's in the comments section if you've already liked the stream. We have to get to 50 likes before we get into our first segment today, guys. We got about 200 people watching. Only 30 people have liked the show. Come on, if you watch the show regularly, you guys should know what to do. Click that thumbs up icon. Help us out. We got Jordan Williams. We got Jordan Yates. We got Brock Walker. We got Dwayne Johnson. We've got Dominic. What's up, Dominic? We got Chuck Dugan. We got Tim. We got Rez. We got Pizza is Goated. Of course, we got Cassie with my lovely girlfriend. We've got Steelers Dad in here. We've got Steel Eye, Kermit is my God, Alex L., Tommy Brown, Christian Andujar, Harrison Bush, Justin Yankuski, Carl, Alex, DJ, Jordan, Tommy, Thomas, Jay. Got a good crew of Steelers fans here. And we got our first $5 Super Chat of the day coming in from my man, Charmander and Froky. And we will get to your Super Chat here in just one moment here. Once Jack gets that up on screen. Charmander asks, if Rodgers doesn't sign with the Steelers, who would you like the Steelers to get? Well, Charmander, we are going to be talking about that on our first segment of today's show. So I'll let you guys know exactly what I would do if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers if Aaron Rodgers does not sign with this football team for the 2025 season. There's the Super Chat right there, Charmander. Appreciate the 5. And again, just like Charmander, if you want to put in a question, if you want to put in a comment that you want to put on screen, send in a donation of any dollar amount, and we'll put you up on screen for today's live stream. All right, so now let's get into our segments here, folks. Our first one, my updated quarterback plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which of course includes a contingency plan if Rodgers decides not to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Our second segment today, I'm going to tell you about the 5 first-round potential Steelers draft targets that if the Steelers take them in round 1, I will be very upset with. And then we'll finish up today's show with my latest 7-round Commanders mock draft to get your weekend started right here on Steelers Talk. So without further ado, let's get into our first segment. We are now over a month into NFL free agency and less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. And four-time NFL MVP and Steelers quarterback target Aaron Rodgers has still not signed on to be this team's starting quarterback. And I think here in Steelers Nation, we have to come to grips with the possibility that Aaron Rodgers will not be this team's starting quarterback in 2025. And I do think, we have to start coming up with we have to start preparing ourselves for the possibility that Aaron Rodgers is not this team's starter heading into next season. So today on Steelers Talk, I'm going to break down what my plan would be at the quarterback position if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. All right, so I got my plan A, my plan B, my plan C, and then my kind of last case scenario for you guys at the end of today's show. So before we get into it today, get down there in the comments section and get us started. At what point should the Pittsburgh Steelers give up pursuing Aaron Rodgers? Do you think it should have been yesterday? Do you think it should have been, you think it should be the NFL draft? Do you think it should be training camp? What's the hard line for you that you think the Pittsburgh Steelers should set on an Aaron Rodgers decision? Let me know what you guys think to kick off today's show. So if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, my plan A is still obviously to sign Aaron Rodgers. Out of all the options out there, there's not a quarterback option out there with more upside for this season as a whole than Aaron Rodgers, because we've seen Aaron Rodgers, play at a high level recently, not as recently as the New York Jets last season, but he has played at a high level within the last several seasons. And also we've seen older quarterbacks after the age of 40 go to new teams and have success and almost lead their teams to Super Bowls. We saw Brett Favre almost do it with the Minnesota Vikings back in 2009. And then we saw it with Tom Brady, a 43-year-old Tom Brady going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and giving them a Super Bowl championship in the first year he was there in Tampa. So I do think Aaron Rodgers gives this team the best chance to win now, and the Steelers should still be pursuing him. But the big question is, when should the Pittsburgh Steelers abandon this plan? And when should they move forward without Aaron Rodgers on the roster if a decision hasn't come? Now, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, all right, what I would tell Rodgers is I would need a decision by the end of the month. All right, I would give him until the end of the month of April. I'm recording this on April 11th. All right, so he still has plenty of time to make a decision. This still gives him plenty of cushion to, go into a darkness retreat or take an ayahuasca retreat or do whatever he needs to do to come to the decision that he wants to be the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback. And if he takes past the month of April, I'm going to be moving on, all right? Because you take a look here, and the reason why I'm going to give him the rest of the month is because the NFL draft is it's taking place from April 24th through April 26th. And, giving him to the end of the month gives him a couple days after the NFL draft to still decide if he wants to be the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback. But plain and simply here, guys, if Rodgers doesn't sign by at least the end of the month here, guys, he doesn't want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, or at least not really. Like, if anything, he would begrudgingly sign here, but if he extends this into the month of May, he really wants another opportunity to pop up, all right? Because there's really no more new information he can get after the NFL draft. So if he's extending it past the NFL draft, it's almost a certainty that Aaron Rodgers does not want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2024, or at least it's not his preference. And if he doesn't want to be a Steeler, then the Steelers shouldn't want him as their starting quarterback, all right? Plain and simply. They don't want to be, kind of the fallback option, so to speak, for Aaron Rodgers. They want Rodgers to be excited to be here. They want Rodgers to be fully invested in what they're doing here, because if you don't get a fully invested Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to get the best version of him, plain and simply. And if you're expecting, kind of a half-assed Aaron Rodgers to lead this locker room, I mean, good luck trying to have success in 2025. So the other thing that I'm going to be telling Aaron Rodgers here is I'm saying, all right, we're going to give you until the end of the month to make this decision. But if you don't sign with us before the NFL draft, we're going to take a quarterback early because we can't afford not to and then have you flake on us after the NFL draft. All right, so I think that the best case scenario here, guys, is that Rodgers and the Steelers have like some sort of secret handshake deal here where he wants to make sure the Steelers don't take a quarterback in round one, but he doesn't know them enough to trust them and take them at their word. So he's just waiting until the end of night one of the NFL draft to confirm that the Steelers do not take a quarterback in round one. And if they, escape round one without a first-round quarterback, then Rodgers will sign on the dotted line. Maybe that is a handshake agreement that exists, but that is not something that is reported. That is complete speculation at this point. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's really what's going on. So if he does sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and even if he does sign, Pittsburgh should still draft a quarterback at some point. Maybe not in round one, but definitely in the middle rounds, because Aaron Rodgers is a short-term solution, and you do need to, keep putting dart throws on the board here to try and get your future long-term answer at the quarterback position. If Tyler Shuck falls to you in round 3, I would definitely pull that trigger. Jalen Milroe, probably the same thing. On day 3, if Kyle McCord, Will Howard, or Quinn Ewers is there, I would be fine taking those guys on day 3 of the NFL draft if you have Aaron Rodgers also on the roster. But coming up here, and I think a lot of the reason why you guys are watching this video is because you want to see what my plan would be if Rodgers doesn't sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So coming up here, some Rodgers contingency plans for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to let you guys know exactly what I would do if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers if Aaron Rodgers is not coming here to Pittsburgh in 2025 in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time. And recently, producer Coop and myself just went to go see Jacob deGrom pitch for the Texas Rangers versus the Boston Red Sox at Globe Life Park here in Arlington. And thanks to Game Time, we were able to get some great seats and really save money on those tickets so we could splurge a little bit more at the game itself. We got some great food, we got some merchandise, and then we also went to go see some live music afterwards, which was an awesome experience. So Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, and it makes getting tickets to events even faster and easier than any other ticketing app that's out there. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, and with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The Pirates might suck this year, guys, but PNC Park is still absolutely gorgeous, and there's still some great tickets available on the Game Time app right now, especially for Skeens days. So if you want to see the best pitcher in baseball play in the most beautiful ballpark in America, you can download the Game Time app today, and then you guys can get some great tickets at PNC Park for the spring and summer. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS at CHATSPORTS for $20 off that first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So my plan B, if Aaron Rodgers decides not to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers before the NFL draft, is like I told Rodgers here, if you don't sign with us before the draft, we're going to draft a quarterback early, plain and simply, because you can't afford not to take one early that you really like, and then Rodgers flakes on you after the NFL draft. So the question when it comes to drafting the right quarterback is which quarterback should they take? Which one is the right strategy for this team? And which player not only gives this team the best chance to have success in the short term, but also the long term? So the potential round one quarterback targets here that the Steelers could feasibly take in round one: Shedeur Sanders from Colorado, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, Tyler Shuck from Louisville, and Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Right now, there's a lot of mock drafts that are currently projecting Sanders and Jackson Dart to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And really the thing that I think the Steelers need to have their eye on and what their focus needs to be in the event Rodgers is not on the roster when the NFL draft gets here is that they need to target the quarterback that they think can help them win in 2025, but not just in 2025, guys, in beyond. And what I would do, and this might be an unpopular opinion here, guys, I would prefer to trade down from number 21 overall, get an additional day 2 pick for trading down, and then I would take Tyler Shuck out of Louisville towards the end of round 1 over guys like Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart. And this might be a hot take here, guys, but I have really gone over the film of all these top quarterbacks this draft season, and right now I have a higher tape and potential grade on Tyler Shuck than I have on Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart. Now, what does that mean? So the tape grade is how good he is right now. All right, you take a look at the profiles between Shuck, Sanders, and Dart. I think out of those 3 quarterbacks, Shuck has the best size, he has the best athleticism and rushing ability, I think he has the best deep ball, I think he has the best mental processing ability, ability. I think he's got the best footwork. I think he's got the best upper body mechanics. I think he's got the best anticipation. There's a lot of things about Tyler Shuck that I think are just straight up better than Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart. And I think because of that, his upside is higher than those guys as well. But Jack, Tyler Shuck is going to be 26 in the fall. He's too old. Well, how do you address that? Well, the way that I would address that concern here, guys, is that Tyler Shuck is somebody, and frankly, the quarterback position is one where players play into their mid to late 30s all the time with success. All right, so if Shuck hits, you still get at least a decade of franchise caliber football from Tyler Shuck if he ends up hitting. But also, if you draft a quarterback in round 1 here in 2025, the pressure's on no matter what, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, whether it's Jackson Dart, whether it's Tyler Shuck. I think that they have 1 year to prove that they have what it takes to be this team's franchise quarterback, because if they stink and you are in position to take a quarterback in next year's NFL draft class, which has a lot of really good quarterback talent, I'm going to take the quarterback in 2026, and I'm not going to blink twice if the quarterback that you draft this year isn't up to snuff. So I think Shuck is the most ready between Sanders, Dart, and of course Shuck to perform right away. And then because he's got the better arm, because he's got the better arm talent, because he's got the better size and athleticism, I think the upside with Tyler Shuck is actually higher with him than it is with Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart. And when it comes to Shuck, a lot of people ask me, what do you think about his pro comp? So I think his low-end comp is Mitch Trubisky. And obviously, if he ends up being Trubisky, that's a pretty disappointing outcome for Tyler Shuck, right? The reason why I kind of compare Trubisky and Shuck is because they have similar size profiles. They're both pretty athletic. And then they also both kind of shy away from pressure, and they like to throw off their back foot. That's kind of a weakness, a shared weakness in their games. That's something that Shuck needs to clean up. But then I think the high-end comp for Tyler Shuck is a more athletic Jared Goff. All right, I think that, the play styles between these two are pretty similar. They both have really good arms. They both can push the ball downfield with touch and accuracy. And I think that, if you can get, Jared Goff, who is a pretty darn good starting quarterback in the National Football League here in Pittsburgh, I think that is something that is absolutely worth it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, between Shedeur Sanders, who you'd probably have to trade up for at this point and give away more draft capital to go get, Jackson Dart, who I don't really believe in either, or Tyler Shuck, who's got some really great starter quality NFL tools, who's got some really great NFL polish. I'm going to bet on those tools, plus I'm going to take the extra pick I get from trading down, as opposed to, trading up for Shedeur Sanders, who I think has limited upside, and I honestly don't love his tape as much as some other people do in the NFL draft space. So something that could happen here is you could trade down with the Kansas City Chiefs. You could trade from 21 to 31 right at the end of the first round and get their second round pick at number 63 overall. You take Shuck at 31, and then you still have 2 day 2 picks at your disposal to address the other needs on your roster, like defensive tackle, running back, nickel corner, the other things that we all know the Steelers need to address here in 2025. So go ahead right now and let me know down there in the comments section. Would you be okay with this trade down and then drafting Tyler Shuck at number 31 if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers? It's not an ideal situation. You would rather take Shuck on day 2, but if you don't have Aaron Rodgers, you kind of force your hand a little bit here, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Yes or no? Are you okay with this trade down and taking Tyler Shuck in round 1? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Another thing that you could do here, and something that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will in fact consider as kind of a contingency plan in case Aaron Rodgers does not show up here in Pittsburgh, is you could trade for Kirk Cousins. And now Omar Khan said at the NFL owners meetings in Palm Beach last week that the team will add at least one more veteran quarterback option before training camp. This team always goes into training camp with 4 quarterback options, and if you draft a quarterback, that means you have 3 on the roster, and if you don't have Rodgers, that means you still need to add 1 more to the team. And, I think that the Steelers will not trade for Kirk Cousins until they know for sure that the Aaron Rodgers thing is not going to happen, whether that's they set a deadline and Rodgers still hasn't signed, or if Rodgers straight up tells them, I'm not going to come play for you guys. I think that, if there is going to be a Kirk Cousins trade, I would assume it's going to happen after the NFL draft and after a potential deadline is set by the Pittsburgh Steelers for Aaron Rodgers. And you might be asking yourselves at home, why not just go with Mason Rudolph? Why bring in Kirk Cousins if we're going to be drafting a quarterback in the draft anyway, and we already have a veteran option in the building that the team trusts? And I think that the answer to that question, guys, is it honestly can't hurt to add another veteran option, all right? Have another chance at the dart board here. And, I think that Kirk Cousins, he is somebody that has been a good pro in this league for a long time. And at the very least, he can be a great mentor to that rookie that you're bringing in the NFL draft. And, the likelihood that Cousins gets traded to the Browns just took a big dip today because the Browns went out and signed Joe Flacco in NFL free agency. Now they have Flacco, and now they have Kenny Pickett. And right now it's expected that that team is going to have a quarterback competition between Pickett and Flacco heading into the 2025 NFL season. So it looks like Kirk Cousins, if he's going to be playing and starting for a new NFL team this year, it would probably have to be the Pittsburgh Steelers if they miss out on Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is something here that I think is interesting, where I think that this is how a Kirk Cousins trade could look like. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers could do a very similar deal that they did for Justin Fields last year, where they sent a conditional 6th-round pick to the Chicago Bears that could have turned into a 4th-round pick if Fields played more than half of the offensive snaps. I think you can do something very similar this year, whether it's a 6th that can turn into a 4th, a 5th that can turn into a 3rd, whatever the case may be to get the job done. I think you can do this type of conditional kind of pick deal to get Kirk Cousins in a Steelers uniform if, of course, Aaron Rodgers decides to flake on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Some other veteran options that the Steelers could consider via trade. Tyrod Taylor from the New York Jets is somebody that I think fits what Mike Tomlin would want in his starting quarterback. He doesn't turn the ball over that often. He throws a good deep ball. He's got some athleticism, so keep your eye on that if they miss out on Rodgers. And then if they want to get a younger option with a little bit of a higher upside, they could think about Will Levis and they could think about Malik Willis, but honestly, I think they'll just take a guy in the NFL draft to fill their upside needs. Another option that could be on the table is bringing Ryan Tannehill out of retirement. Now, we know from Jordan Schultz that Tannehill has had conversations with the Minnesota Vikings about potentially being their backup, so it seems like Tannehill is potentially interested in returning to the NFL. He did not play last year for any NFL team, and if Tannehill comes back for anybody, I think it would be for Arthur Smith, all right? Because Tannehill has never been more productive in his entire career. I mean, you can argue Arthur Smith completely saved the career of Ryan Tannehill, and when he got there and then when he left, talking about Arthur Smith here, Ryan Tannehill is a completely different quarterback. You can see here in 2020, Tannehill got 33 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions in a passer rating of over 106 with Arthur Smith calling the plays for him. And then by the time that he was finishing up with Tennessee, as you guys can see, the numbers just went down dramatically. Now, especially now that Tannehill has missed an entire season of football, I think you can certainly make the argument Tannehill would not even be as good as Mason Rudolph, and I would actually think that would be a legitimate possibility, which is why kind of the last resort here, in my opinion, kind of plan Z, so to speak, is to go into next season with Mason Rudolph as your veteran option, and then whatever rookie you end up taking in the early rounds of the NFL draft, kind of being in competition in camp to see who's going to be the starter, whether that's Rudolph and Shadur, whether that's Rudolph and Dart, whether that's Rudolph and Tyler Shuck. I think that is kind of something that could be kind of the last resort for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the 2025 season. So my updated quarterback plan. Obviously, we would all want Aaron Rodgers to sign as soon as possible. But if that doesn't happen, plan B, you draft a quarterback early. Plan C, maybe you add another veteran option with a conditional pick style of trade for Kirk Cousins, or maybe you look at a guy like Ryan Tannehill to fill out your veteran QB coffers before training camp begins, or kind of last resort here, you could go with just Mason and a rookie battling it out for the starting spot in 2025. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Who will be the Pittsburgh Steelers Week 1 starting quarterback this year? Will Aaron Rodgers eventually sign? Do you think they're going to trade for Kirk Cousins? Do you think they're going to draft a rookie and that rookie's going to be the Week 1 starter? Is it going to be Mason Rudolph? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Right now, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I have no freaking clue. I still maybe think that Rodgers has the best chance out of anybody else, but at this point, I really don't have a good answer for you guys. That'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of kind of a longer video today. So if you made it to the end, you are a true real one. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already for more in-depth and free Steelers coverage on this channel every single day. All right, first segment in the books here. Coming up next, 5 players in the NFL draft where if the Steelers take them in round 1, I will be absolutely pissed. Producer Jack Lauderay, and we'll put you up on screen here in just a second. But we got some super chats rolling in here. We got Steelers Dad coming in with a $5 super chat. Says, if we could have kept Fields, do you think he is better than all the QBs in this draft class? I don't. I think Cam Ward is definitely going to be better. And then I think that there's other quarterbacks with the potential to be better. Like Justin Fields, we've seen 4 years of him at this point, all right? We kind of know what he is, and it's not a necessarily good NFL quarterback, all right? He's got some great tools at his disposal, but he's got a lot of things, a lot of nuances to the position that he's just missing. So, I think guys like Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, a lot of these guys have the potential to be better than Fields, but kind of the way of the rookie is you got to prove yourself at the National Football League level. Like when Justin Fields was coming into the league, he was a little bit raw, but you saw the physical upside and you saw the tools and you said, wow, this guy's definitely worth a first-round pick. And in my opinion, he was still more than worth a first-round pick because of the idea of what he could have become. All right, and sometimes those dart throws, sometimes those chances, they don't pan out. Sometimes these players just don't have it click for them, and at least to this point, it hasn't for Fields. But I think that, when it comes to the Steelers' plans, I do think drafting a quarterback this year to be a potential long-term answer probably would have been better than bringing back Fields, because I just think the chances of Fields developing into a legitimate franchise-level quarterback at this point are relatively low. And I think that's the chances for some of these rookie quarterbacks. Although, I definitely have my questions about guys like Shedeur and Dart and even Shuck. There's certainly lots of questions surrounding Justin Fields as well. $2 from my man Kermit is my God. Says, Jack, the injury history with Shuck scares me. Listen, that's perfectly fair. He's had 2 broken clavicles and he's had a broken fibula. So those are very serious injuries. But he played last year, took some big hits, and he held up. His body held up. And, like I said, it's a 1-year audition regardless. So if he gets injured again this year, all right, and he doesn't have the chance to show off what he can do, and the Steelers stink, for example, and they have a chance to take Drew Aller in the first round next year, and, he's a good prospect, it's not going to stop me from taking another quarterback in 2026. So my thinking is, which quarterback gives you the best chance to win now and prove themselves in year 1? And to me, it's not even close. It's Tyler Shuck. He's got the best physical tools, and I think he's got the most NFL-ready polish. All right? Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders, they don't have particularly great arms. Shuck has a stronger arm than both of them. He's bigger than both of those guys. He moves better than those guys. He's got better pocket footwork than those guys. He's got, in my opinion, better mental processing chops. I think he throws with more anticipation more regularly. And I think that the downfield accuracy is the best as well. So, I think Shuck, when you look at a lot of these things that are super important for an NFL quarterback, he has those things ready to go right now. And I understand that the age thing is a factor, and I understand the injury thing is a factor as well. But if the Steelers are serious about competing, I think Shuck gives them the best chance compared to Shedeur and Dart to compete right now. And then I also think he's got more upside than Shedeur and Dart as well, because he's got the superior physical tools. So if you have somebody that's more ready to play now and has more upside, to me it's a no-brainer. Tyler Shuck's the better prospect and the better pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But that's just my opinion. Obviously, other people have different opinions, and that's okay. But for me, I think Tyler Shuck's a pretty darn good prospect, and I would like to see him wearing a Steelers uniform next year if you don't get Aaron Rodgers. $2 from my man Bob Locke says, we lost all decent options waiting on human feces. So I'm guessing he's talking about Aaron Rodgers right there. Very colorful language right there from my man Bob Locke. But, if you guys want to send in a donation via Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal today, this is where you guys can find me. We also got a couple of Cash Apps here, Jack, so I'll send this your way, and we'll talk some Steelers football here for a second before we get into our second segment today. There we go. And there we go. So Obviously, I think that my take on Shuck is a little controversial because right now most people don't expect him to go in round one, and Dart and Sanders are. So because of that, people just think, oh, those are the guys the Steelers have to take. But I don't know, man. When you watch these guys on film, to me, Shuck is clearly the best right now. And then, sure, you can say Dart and Sanders are younger so they could grow into something a little bit more down the road. But I don't know if I see the same tools that Tyler Shuck brings to the table either. So when I look at the quarterback situation, Shuck is the clear guy that I would want. Sanders and Dart have certain limitations that I think limit their upside a little bit. And that scares me a lot. So I would rather bet on the tools that Shuck brings to the table. And he's not a perfect prospect at all. But, there's a reason why you're getting him late round one, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. Venmo alert here, $20 from my man, Robert Locke, with a $20 super cash app. He says, for the drama was always the issue. Talking, I think, about Aaron Rodgers, this is certainly an introduction to Aaron Rodgers here, man, because even if he signs at this point, Jack, it's you put us through this entire wait. I'd be genuinely curious to see what the reaction is when and if he signs. Are people going to be like, woohoo, we're excited for Aaron Rodgers? Or are they going to be like, why the hell did you wait so long, dude? I honestly am, I'm curious to see how this fan base will react if and when he signs.
Well, and if he signs and he sucks.
Yeah, that's bad, man. If he signs and he sucks, he's going to, this fan base will just absolutely hate him. I think, listen, man, I think that Russell Wilson kind of got a bad rap here in Steelers Nation. And I think he took a lot of the blame for last season kind of unfairly. He wasn't the big issue with the team. It was the defense crumbling. It was the lack of run game. It was the lack of weapons. Russell Wilson is not the superstar quarterback that could have carried that team anymore, and we all knew it. So I don't know why he gets so much of the blame there. But, kind of miss Russ right now, man, because Russ would be working with DK and George and Calvin getting ready for the season. He's already doing it with the New York Giants. He'd be bringing a lot of positivity and no negative news or drama. Say what you will about Russell Wilson, but he was a great representative of this football franchise, man. And, I do miss him a little bit right now because I'm not loving having to deal with the drama of Aaron Rodgers, if I'm being completely honest with you.
And now Joe Shane and the Giants kind of look good. Mm-hmm. Because everyone was like, oh, why did they sign Wilson prematurely? What about Rodgers? Well, Shane and the Giants know what they're going to do. And They are sitting kind of pretty right now while the Steelers and Rodgers are looking a little, I don't know.
Man, it's a little up in the air. We got a couple more cash apps to get to here before we get into our next segment. So appreciate you, $20, Robert Locke. You get another raffle ticket another 2 raffle tickets into the maybe Rodgers jersey raffle. I don't even know if you'd want the Rodgers jersey there, Robert, but I appreciate the 20. Couple more cash apps here. DJ KJ coming in with a $5 cash app. He says, what about Arch Manning next year? First of all, we don't know if he's going to come out next year. Second of all, we don't know if he's even going to play well. That's the thing. Because his last name's Manning and he was the number 1 prospect in high school, everyone's assuming he's going to be great. I'm not saying he's not going to be great, but, we got to see it. We saw a little bit of him last year when Quinn Ewers was hurt. But what we saw from him last year wasn't necessarily number 1 pick overall level worthy. But, obviously, his pedigree is world class. Obviously, he's got some really good tools to work with. I'm excited for his college career. But, I think it's too early to be looking towards 2026. There's certain guys that you can look at. You can look at Nico and you can look at Arch and you can look at Drew Aller and Garrett Nussmeier as guys that could potentially, find their way in the round 1 next year. But as we know, there's always surprises. This time last year, Cam Ward was not in the conversation for the number 1 pick. He wasn't even in the conversation to go round 1. All right. So, then the year before that, Jaden Daniels definitely not in the conversation to go top 2 and to be right up there with Caleb Williams for many talent evaluators. So there's always surprises. There's always people that come out of nowhere. And, I think that I'm going to be watching his career closely for sure, especially if the Steelers don't have Aaron Rodgers or if they draft the wrong quarterback this year. But, it's definitely too early to tell at this point. $10 from L.A. Brooks. We also didn't get to Alex's Cash App. Alex's Cash App, I sent it to you. Alex L, $5. Did we get to that? Did you put that up as a Venmo? Okay, cool. So LA's question here is, if we're going to trade up, why not shoot for Genty? I don't disagree. If Genty's available, in the teens or whatever, if somehow he gets past Chicago and he gets past Las Vegas and he gets past Dallas at 12, and you don't have to give up that much to go get him, if you're going to trade up, I think that the position that they trade up for is running back, whether that's Omarion Hampton, who visited the team this week, whether that be Ashton Genty. I think those are the only 2 guys they'd take in the first round. Maybe they trade back and take Caleb Johnson, who's a great fit for this team and this offense. But the only 2 running backs that I have first-round grades on this year are Genty and Hampton. So those are kind of the 2 guys I'd want them to take if they're going to take a running back in round 1. So that's kind of where I'm at right there. So Alex, appreciate the 5 there. I think he had a question as well. Alex says, get a running back. Pick number 21, get a running back. If one's there, if Genty or Hampton's there, I'm all for getting a running back. All for it, all right? Because you're going to have to, no matter who your quarterback is next year, guys, you're going to have a run game, all right? Even if it's Aaron Rodgers. You're going to have the run game be the star of the offense because Rodgers isn't good enough anymore to carry an NFL team, right? So you got to have that run game be tip-top shape. The best way to make sure that happens is to get a star-level running back, okay? $2, Robert Locke again, says, if I win, I'll go live to burn that jersey. All right, Robert Locke. I mean, it's your jersey. You can do what you want with it, man. It's your jersey. Clearly doesn't like Aaron Rodgers. And that's okay. Not everybody has to like him. But, yeah, I think that's all the donations we have so far. And I think we are ready to get angry right now here, guys, because coming up here, I've got my round 1 crash out prospects. So these are 5 players that if the Steelers take them in round 1, I will be furious with Omar Khan. All right, so without further ado, let's get into our second segment right here on Steelers Talk Live. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. In just a few short days here, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be adding to their roster in round 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft with their first-round selection. And on today's show, we're going to switch it up a little bit. Usually I'm talking about players that I do want the Steelers to take in round 1. Today, I've got 5 players. I wouldn't be too thrilled for Omar Khan to turn that card in for the Pittsburgh Steelers on night 1 there in Green Bay. Before we get into the content today, let me know down there in the comments section, which player or players do you really hope the Pittsburgh Steelers do not take in round 1? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Who's somebody you really hope Omar Khan avoids in round 1 this year? So we'll start here with quarterback Jalen Milroe. Now, I want to make abundantly clear here, I think Milroe as a mid-round prospect would be perfectly fine for the Steelers, especially if they get Aaron Rodgers, where you get a super talented, high-upside guy like Milroe, learning from one of the most intelligent quarterbacks in football history in Aaron Rodgers. I think that'd be a really good setup. But I think with or without Aaron Rodgers here, drafting Milroe in round 1 would be a big mistake. If Rodgers is here and he is signed, then you just spent your first-round pick on a high-risk project type of quarterback that can't help you win now. If you bring in Rodgers, it's a win-now move. And I can guarantee you right now, Rodgers wants the Steelers to draft players that are going to help them win in the short term. So that would be like the worst-case scenario there that Rodgers does not want, is because you're taking a quarterback that's not going to be helping the team win in 2025. So that probably wouldn't go over too well with your new starting quarterback. That is if he's he's on the roster by the time the NFL draft comes around. But even if Rodgers doesn't sign, and you need a quarterback early on in the NFL draft this year, you just spent your round 1 pick on a high-risk project quarterback that isn't ready to play in year 1. All right, Milroe needs to go to a team that with an established veteran that he can learn from for at least 1, maybe 2 years before you even think about putting him on an NFL football field. If you don't have Aaron Rodgers and you draft Jalen Milroe round 1 without trading back especially, you're drafting a guy to pretty much play right away, something that Milroe is not ready to do heading into his rookie season. So listen, man, like I said, in round 3 or 4 and Rodgers signs, you can make an argument that Milroe would be my number 1 option, all right, because he's got the highest upside of all the guys that are going to be available at that point in the NFL draft if he makes it that far. And like I said, the ability and the opportunity for him to learn from Aaron Rodgers, I think would be absolutely beneficial for his development into what the Steelers would be hoping is their next franchise quarterback. All right, so in round 3 or round 4, would love Milroe, but if they take him in round 1, I'm absolutely going to crash out, folks. Some other round 1 quarterback targets that they could consider, though, that I think are more ready to play than Milroe: Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, and even if they wanted to trade down and take Tyler Shuck, even at either at the tail end of round 1 or early round 2, that is something that I would certainly consider. Tyler Shuck actually has some really great tape, and he's got some great physical tools. You can even argue, at least I would make the argument, that there's at least a chance that he's going to be a better player than Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart at the next level. So, that's probably what I would do, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section and sound off. What's the % chance the Steelers go QB in round 1 of the NFL draft this year? Put it on a scale of 0 to 100 for me down there in the comment section. 0 meaning no chance they take a quarterback round 1, to 100 meaning they are definitely taking a quarterback in round 1. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action all on your phone. It's 100% free to download right now, guys, and join over 10 million members and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect, and you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts like player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. All you have to do is select more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for any sport of your choosing. You can choose baseball, basketball, hockey. When football comes back around, you can certainly smash the football promotions as well. And you guys can download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks, run your game. The second player that I would not be too happy with if the Steelers took him in round 1 is Shamar Stewart, defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. Now, I think that Shamar Stewart is somebody that is going to be viewed as a high upside guy. And, I think that he's going to be somebody that a lot of people kind of comp to Trayvon Walker because he's a good run defender. Not a lot of production in college, but he's got incredible physical tools, had a perfect 10 out of 10 relative athletic score at the combine this year. But I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, the reason why they brought him in for a draft visit this year is because they're thinking about converting him to 5 technique, which is more of an interior position in their base formations. When in their 5-man fronts, it's the same position Larry Ogunjobi filled when he was still with the Steelers. And, Shamar Stewart, his profile is somebody that's a really good run defender. He's got great play strength. He's got really good arm length. And, he's going to be able to hold his own against the run from day one in the National Football League. But the big bugaboo with him and with me is that he doesn't really attack the pass rusher all that effectively. He relies too much on the bull rush. And for somebody that relies on the bull rush, he doesn't really win with it all that much. I think he's got underwhelming ability to win with the bull rush, and then he doesn't really have other moves to win with. He doesn't have a spin. He doesn't have a chop. He doesn't have a rip. He doesn't really use a swim move. He doesn't win with speed around the edge either. He just tries to run over people, and, he's got an incredible physical profile, and he's great against the run, but his pass rushing is just so far away from being good on the edge. And I think if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you might be interested in him being a really good run defending 5 technique. But, I just don't really see the upside with him in that spot. And if you're going to draft a player to play interior D-line, I would much rather play a player or draft a player with interior D-line experience, or at least more of it. Somebody like a Derek Harmon, a Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, someone like that, as opposed to someone like Shamar Stewart, who's coming out as an edge rusher. And there's just really no room for the Steelers to use him as an edge rusher with T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig as the top 3 edge rushers on this team. So I think it would be a really dumb decision if Shamar Stewart is the pick, and if he ends up being the pick, I will be pretty pissed off. Then we get to my third Crashout pick here, which is Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina. Now, this is another combine warrior that has a perfect 10 out of 10 relative athletic score, great size, great speed, a lot of stuff that talent evaluators really drool over. But I think that he still has a little ways to go in terms of his run defense, even at his size, and I think that he does have tight hips in coverage one-on-one. So, I love the size. I love the character, too. He was a team captain there with the Gamecocks. I think that he's got some pretty good zone coverage instincts. I think he's good as a deep defender. There's a lot of things to like about Nick Emenwari, but I think that, if you're going to be trying to use him in the box as a run defender, I think his mental processing speed is really slow. I think that his run diagnostic ability, he's wrong consistently. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned up from a mental perspective with Nick Emenwari. And for me, he's not a win-now player, all right? Like, I think at best, you're putting him behind Minkah Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Elliott, and you're rotating him in alongside Juan Thornhill to try and develop him into a real defensive weapon down the road. And to be fair, Emenwari has all the physical tools needed to be that defensive weapon that you can move all over the defense, in the slot, in the box, deep. You can move him around and really use him as a disguise piece in the future. I kind of wonder if Pittsburgh is interested in him being the starting slot corner for this team if they draft him this season, because he's a really good tackler out in space. He's got long arms. Obviously, he can bully any slot receiver that tries blocking him out in the slot. So, it'd be interesting to see what the Steelers' plan for him is if they end up drafting him. But with Minkah Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Elliott still, kind of number 1 and number 2 safety here, I don't think it's necessarily a win-now kind of move. And I would rather get a player that can be a big impact for this team year 1. Now, another guy that I would not be too happy with is Azareye'h Thomas out of Florida State. And I will say this right now, I actually really like Thomas's film. All right, I think that he's very fundamentally sound, and I think that he's a great press man corner. So you might be saying, well, Jack, if you like his film and you think he's technically sound, you think he's a great physical press man corner, why would you be mad if the Steelers took him? Well, there's 2 problems. Number 1, he wouldn't play in year 1 unless there's an injury to Darius Slay or Joey Porter Jr. All right, he'd be more of a developmental piece. And number 2, his lack of long speed as a press man corner scares the living crap out of me. All right, like, he's going to get burned at the next level. I mean, almost 4.6 speed from a corner that wants to play up in your face. So if you go up against a great burner type of wide receiver and he beats your press jam coverage there, he's going to run right by you, and it's an easy touchdown for the opposing offense if you don't have safety help. All right, that scares me a lot. And there's just not a whole lot of examples, guys, of corners that are press man corners succeeding in the league running 4.6s. It just doesn't happen. And the guys that, try to do it end up converting into zone corners like Rasul Douglas, who's actually done a pretty good job of converting from a press man corner to kind of an off-zone type of corner. But, it takes time to develop that. And even Rasul Douglas, he's a good corner, but he's not a great corner. If you're drafting a cornerback in round 1, you're expecting that corner to be a pretty darn good number 1 corner right there. I just don't see that with Azareye'h Thomas, and I think that he might be worth a late day 2, early day 3 pick, because I think, in certain schemes he could be a great fit, and, maybe, just maybe, he can overcome the speed issues that he has. But he's without question a risk to be an absolute bust. And then even then, I think he's got some limited upside, and he's probably going to have to convert, almost like Rasul Douglas did, into more of an off-zone type of corner, because I just don't think he has the speed to survive as a press man corner in the National Football League. So before we get into my final crash out target here, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you're enjoying the content today, if you want more draft content like this, Make sure you like the video. It helps out the YouTube algorithm, does all that great stuff to put our channel in front of more Steelers fans like yourselves. So if you're feeling generous today, I'd greatly appreciate it if you click that thumbs up icon. Then the final crash out pick here would be Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. Multiple reasons why I wouldn't love this pick for the Steelers. First of all, I don't have a first-round grade on Henderson. I don't think his vision is very good. I think that he consistently picks the wrong lane to run into. It's every single type of run scheme that they ran at Ohio State. Like, it's not just on this specific run scheme he was bad and then he had good vision on outside zone or something like that. Like, no, like he's got explosive ability. He can be a home run hitter, no question about that. And he's got a lot of hype, and there's a lot of people that think he's going to be a first-round pick. But I don't think Henderson's a slam dunk. I think he's got some bust potential. And along with that, I think that his skill set is a little redundant with Jaylen Warren's. All right, I would rather get somebody that can wear down an opposing defense, somebody that can, make those big plays happen, but also be a bigger body that can fall forward, get those extra tough yards, kind of to do the stuff that Najee Harris did, but also provide the splash that Najee really never did here in Pittsburgh. The two guys in round one that I would consider in round one, Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State and Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. And maybe, just maybe, if you trade down to like pick 31 and you want to take Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, who's an excellent fit in Arthur Smith's outside zone scheme, I guess I'd be okay with that too. But Travion Henderson is too risky and too redundant for the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion, to take in round one. So let me know down there in the comments section, who's your guy, which running back, and in which round do you hope the Pittsburgh Steelers draft this year? Are you hoping they get Ashton Jeanty and trade up for him in round one? Are you hoping Omarion Hampton falls to them in round one? Do you want somebody in the middle rounds? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. Thank you guys for making it with me here to the very end. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers. All right, so, Mike, those are the 5 players, Jack, where if we're live here on Steelers Talk Thursday night in Green Bay and they take any of those 5 guys, I will not be happy.
I need a Nick Eamon-Warry crash out. That would be so funny.
Why?
I just want to see you crash out. We love a Sperry crash out.
And listen, man, it might happen. They're showing Eamon-Warry a lot of interest right now. Like they top 30 visit, pro day, all the different things.
He checks all the boxes, as you would say.
Oh, so this is interesting here.
The Peterson stuff?
Slick Rick.
Oh, what did Slick Rick say?
Slick Rick,
who has been wrong about a lot of stuff this offseason.
He has, but this is what he said. Big trade for the Dolphins. Dolphins are trading away an all-pro player.
So Tyreek Hill.
So that you would think that's Tyreek Hill. So keep your eye out. I mean, it's Slick Rick. He has been wrong quite a bit this offseason, but he's also got quite a bit right.
But he's been wrong, though.
He has been wrong. Absolutely. But Slick Rick, and of course Steelers fans know Ricky can be wrong. He said Brandon Ayuk was going to be a Steeler, and he wasn't. Yeah. He also said that Rodgers was coming to the Steelers, and who knows if that's actually going to happen. But now he's saying the Dolphins are trading away an all-pro player. So you would assume that's Tyreek Hill. But I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, we got any super chats here, Jack? Are you sure? I think there's one from Charmander. Oh, there isn't one. Never mind. My screen was frozen from the beginning of the show. That's what it was. All right, man. So my 7-round Steelers mock draft, my latest one, is coming up here. We also got a Cashapp. I'll send it to you here. So coming up here, my latest 7-round mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers will be coming. And I've got an interesting pick in round 3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Got an interesting pick here. As Jack rolls his eyes at me. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, Cashapp. Charles Kessler, my man, $2 or $20 Cash App. And he says, let me see here. Let me pull up your message here, Charles. He says, Mason and build around him. Man. Listen, man. Jack says, I would not make Mason Rudolph the face of your franchise. Listen, man, I would be okay with Mason starting the season, but I would want him to be like a bridge quarterback. He's like at the very best with him as your starting quarterback, you're winning 9-10 games. Like you could get all the best players in the NFL draft this year. You could have a perfect NFL draft, A+, all right, with getting the best rookie talent to surround Mason Rudolph. You're winning 9 or 10 games just like the Steelers did last year, and you're losing in the first round. All right, and the upside doesn't go a lot higher than that, in my opinion. I'm saying this as somebody that loves Mason, man. I think he's a Steelers legend for life. We have a song for him, for God's sakes, on this show, but he's limited. He really is. All right, he's a backup level quarterback, spot starter. He's a decent backup. I'm not saying he's a bad backup, and obviously he had that legendary run where he won those 3 games at the end of the regular season in 23, but he played the 2 worst defenses in the league, and then he played the Ravens backups. And then when he played a playoff caliber defense in the playoffs, he completed like 50% of his passes and didn't look all that great. So, like, can you maybe get above 500 again with Mason Rudolph if the defense is really good and, Mason plays well for his standards? Yeah. But, like, are you beating Philly? Are you beating, Kansas City? Are you beating Buffalo? Are you beating Baltimore, multiple times with their starters, not their backups like it was in the season finale 2 years ago? I mean, I like Mason Rudolph as a backup. I'm glad he's back, and I get why a lot of Steelers fans really love him, but he's just not the answer short-term or long-term, in my opinion. So, if you don't get Aaron Rodgers, I'm okay with drafting a rookie and then keeping Mason as your kind of bridge quarterback and then eventually go to the rookie later on down the season when he's more ready to play. But, sticking with him for the entire season, I think is a one-way ticket to mediocrity for the Pittsburgh Steelers, unfortunately. But appreciate the 20, Charles. You are in on the raffle. Just got another Cash App here. And we got a super from CJ Ross, $2, says, could be Calais Campbell. Campbell's on the Cardinals now. Campbell went to the Cardinals in free agency, so I'm trying to think if it could be anybody else other than Tyreek Hill. I mean, they have Jalen Ramsey. Could they be trading him? I don't think Chubb was ever all pro. The only one I can think of on the roster is Jalen Ramsey. I don't think Waddle ever made an all-pro team, and it'd be stupid to trade him. The only 2 guys, if Ricky's right, and I'm not saying he is, I'm just saying if he's right, I think the only 2 players on the Dolphins roster, if I'm not mistaken, that have made an all-pro team are Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey. That makes sense about trading them anyway. And maybe Ramsey wants out. I don't know. I mean, that organization is not in the best spot right now. So we'll see if Ricky's right. $5 super or Cash App from DJ KJ. Appreciate you, my man. He says, what does he say here? He says, what's your thoughts on trading Watt? I don't want to. If the Steelers are serious about winning now, all right, and they certainly are, all right? Like, you don't go pursue a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers unless you think there's a chance that you can win a Super Bowl with him, all right? And, TJ Watt is the most valuable player on this team, easily, all right? When he's healthy, he is the best defensive player in football, in my opinion. Because not only does he rack up the sack numbers, we know how much he does that, not only does he get in the backfield and make big tackles for loss, but he also strips the football, which is an extremely valuable skill set. I mean, he leads the league in forced fumbles since he entered by a wide margin. And those turnovers, guys, those change games. All right, they do. All right, the sacks, obviously, on third down and things that he provides there, they end drives. All right, the tackles for losses on second down when they try running the football, those help end drives. And then, of course, when he forces a fumble and it ends a drive, obviously that ends drives. All right, and if you have one player that is a one-man drive-killing machine, who's also good against the run, by the way, and he's also pretty good in coverage, I mean, you got one of the best defensive players in the history of Pittsburgh Steeler football, and that's saying something, all right? He's the most valuable player on the team right now. The Steelers are bringing in an older quarterback, most likely an Aaron Rodgers, that won't be on a massive contract, and they're going to be drafting a rookie quarterback either this year, next year, or both, and they're expecting their starting quarterback after Rodgers to be on an affordable rookie contract. So you have the money available to pay an edge rusher a lot of money. So if he wants $40 million per season, honestly, he's been that valuable to the Steelers defense and to the Steelers team because this offense has been awful for multiple seasons, and they have still been in playoff contention every single year. Why do you think that is? It's because the defense is carrying most of the weight, and who's carrying most of the weight on the defense? It's TJ Watt. He's the one that's getting all the sacks. He's the one, well, not all of them, but he's getting a large portion of them, right? He's getting a bunch of forced fumbles. He's doing a good job against the run when he's healthy, all these different things. Like, he's your best defensive player. You're going to have an affordable quarterback on a rookie contract during this next deal for him. It makes sense, if you want to win now, to give him what he wants, all right? Give him the $40 million per season that he wants. That's my take. If you have a different take, that's fine. But I think the Steelers should pony up the dough, and they should pay TJ Watt the money that, frankly, I think that he deserves, all right? Because here's the thing, Jack. Last 4 seasons, he was injured for about half the season for one of those years. He has been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in every single season he's played, every single regular season game. That is how good of a player he is. And honestly, he won one. He should have won multiple, okay? So that's the type of player we're talking about here. If he wants $40 million per season, frankly, I think he's deserving of that, and I think the Steelers should pay up. All right. What happened to my TV screen here? Are we good? All right, we're good. We're going to get into our next segment here, which is my latest 7-round Steelers mock draft. Can't wait to share this week's picks with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and it's another week and another 7-round Steelers mock draft. It's my 7.0 version here during the 2025 NFL draft season. We're now less than 2 weeks away from the start of the NFL draft in Green Bay on April 24th. So we've only got a couple more mocks to go here, guys. So make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. We got to get to 500 likes on this video to have another mock next week. And of course, then getting close to the draft, I have my final mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we still got 2 more to go here. But if you're enjoying our content, you want more of it, make sure you click that thumbs up icon to start off today's show. So if you guys have been watching all of our mock drafts throughout the offseason, you guys know my rule this year is I'm not repeating players from previous mocks. And the reason for that is I want to put in front of you guys as many Steelers draft targets as I possibly can, and I don't want to talk about the same players week in and week out, all right? So if there's a player that you really want the Steelers to draft and I don't take them today, I probably took them in a previous mock, so you guys are free to check out our previous mocks on this channel after today's show if you want. So for today's mock, we're not going to do trades. I'm just going to go straight up chalk, no movement. Next week, and then our final mock draft, I probably will do some trades. But for today, this will be our final no-trade mock draft of the draft season. So I'll start with pick number 21, and I'm going to take Derek Harmon out of Oregon. And honestly, I'm surprised I haven't taken him in a mock draft to this point. All right, like Harmon is just so clean of a prospect, and for a position where you have Cam Hayward and you have 2 years to find his suitable replacement and develop his suitable replacement alongside Keanu Benton. I think Harmon can be a really great rotational piece right away to get after quarterbacks, be a disruptive force. He can play 5 technique in your base, 5 down fronts, all that different stuff. But I just love his get off. I love his quickness. For a guy his size, he just moves differently, guys. And, I love the power that he brings to the table as well. I think he can really push the pocket, and I think he's got some nice finesse moves. He can hand fight. He can win with swipes and all these different things that he can use at his disposal. He's also a really good run defender. He's very stout in that regard. Maybe not special, but he can certainly hold his own in that regard. Can be a 3-down player. Now, he does have some tackling inconsistencies, and those are some things that Mike Tomlin and this coaching staff will work with him on. He's got an over 20% missed tackle rate, but part of those missed tackles is he's just so goddamn disruptive, where the running back just has the angle on him and he runs past him and he tries to get an arm tackle on him, and it's just not enough. So I really like this player, guys. I think that he would be a great replacement for Cam Hayward. He even said at the Senior Bowl that he emulates his game after Cam Hayward. So talk about a perfect replacement for the future that can also help you win now. You can see in the 4-man fronts here, he probably wouldn't be out there, at least for the next 2 years. Benton and Hayward will be your starters. But then in your 5-man fronts, when you go to that base formation, which the Steelers like to do on early downs, you can put him in there alongside Hayward and Benton. Harmon can play 3 technique or 5 technique, in my opinion. And I think that this would be one of the more stout defensive lines in the entire NFL. And then, of course, Harmon can rotate in even on your 4-man fronts to get after quarterbacks and keep Cam Hayward and Keanu Benton fresh throughout the 2025 season. So let me know down there in the comments section. Would you be happy if Derek Harmon was the pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers in round 1? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by simply giving me a yes or a no down there in the comments. So now, I did lie to you at the beginning of this show. All right, I said no repeat picks, but I did take this next player in a previous mock draft, but with Aaron Rodgers looking like that it's a legit possibility that he may not sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I do want to talk about this player because I took him in the 7th round back when nobody was talking about him and people had him way down their draft boards. But, when I turned on the film for Tyler Shuck out of Louisville this year for the first time, I literally couldn't believe how good he was, all right, because he had no hype around him at the time. But I really do think that this guy has the upside to be a legitimate franchise quarterback in the National Football League. Now, he is older. In fact, he's ancient for a rookie quarterback. He's going to be 26 years old this year. So his runway is going to be really, really short. But he's got great size, 6'5", 225 pounds, prototypical size. He's got good athleticism at that size as well. Right now, he's ranked 84th on the consensus big board, which is a 3rd-round projection. And it just pretty much lines up with the Steelers pick at number 83. He's also considered one of the more pro-ready quarterbacks in this class, and at 26 years old, you better be pro-ready, buddy. But my hot take here of this quarterback class is I have a higher tape and potential grade on Tyler Shuck than I do Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart. Not only do I think he's more pro-ready than those 2 players, but I actually think, because he's got a better arm, he's got stronger arm, he's got more arm talent, he's more athletic than those guys, he's bigger than those guys. I actually think that his upside is higher than Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart's as well. Now, you might be sitting at home right now and telling me, but Jack, Shuck is too old. 26 years old is too old to draft a quarterback in the NFL draft. Well, I'm not personally too concerned about that. And according to a lot of the people around the league, according to all the insiders at ESPN and everywhere else, teams aren't really worried about it either, all right? Because quarterbacks play into their mid to late 30s all the time. And if Tyler Shuck hits, he can play over a decade as the franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Plus, I don't really worry about him having a short runway as a player because, yes, he's going to have to prove himself in year 1. At 26 years old, you don't get 2 or 3 years of runway to develop. You have to be good right away. But the quarterback that the Steelers take in round 1 regardless has to be good anyways because in 2026, they might have a good enough draft pick to take a quarterback when the draft is being held in Pittsburgh. All right, so I think that, the focus should be to get the quarterback they think can be the best right now. And I think by far, Tyler Shuck is the most ready to start for an NFL team out of the guys that could be there for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this year's draft class. All right, so that's where I come down on the quarterback situation here, guys. Coming up, my day 3 picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, so round 4, round 5, round 6, and round 7 are coming up here in just one moment. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time. And recently, producer Coop and myself just went went to go see Jacob deGrom pitch for the Rangers here at Globe Life Park in Arlington as they took down the Boston Red Sox. And we were able to save a ton of money on those tickets so that we could splurge a little bit after the game. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. It makes getting tickets to any event faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. And with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The Pirates might stink this year, guys. In fact, they're kicking the ball all over the yard this year. It's really not fun to watch, but PNC Park is still gorgeous, and Paul Skeens is still the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. So if you want to go see Skeens pitch, throughout the season here, you can get great deals on seats all over PNC Park. Right now, there's a lot of tickets available, if I'm being honest with you guys. So you can get great deals from our friends at Game Time right now, and you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS. That's CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So here in round 4, I'm going to take a running back here that I think could be the sleeper running back of the draft, and that is R.J. Harvey out of UCF. Now, I love Harvey's tape, guys. I think that he's got great patience, he's got great acceleration, really good vision, and he's got home run hitting long speed as well. He's a little bit smaller, but I think that he could be really, really good in the National Football League. I think he could be a legit number 1 running back. And I think if you pair him up with Jaylen Warren, I think that could be a stellar running back duo here in Pittsburgh for a very, very long time. And, there's a lot of good running backs in this class. I didn't take a running back in round 1 today. I think that's okay because the Steelers can still get really, really good players even in round 3, round 4, maybe even round 5 as well. There's a ton of running backs that fit what the Steelers want to do. And in terms of the guys that are probably going to go late day 2, early day 3, I think R.J. Harvey has the best chance to potentially become a star here in the black and gold. Number 156 here in round 5, I'm going to take Kobe Bryant, cornerback out of Kansas. Now, I love Bryant's mentality. This guy's a dog, man. This guy's so freaking competitive. He loves to talk shit. He loves to get in the face of the people that he's guarding. He likes to shut you down, and he likes to let you know about it. The thing about Bryant, though, is that he's like 170 pounds, and he's as thin as a toothpick, all right? And I know, I'm the one talking right here, but, this is somebody that probably can't survive on the outside in the NFL, in my opinion. We saw what happened to Emmanuel Forbes, who tried to play at this weight, and he just got bullied every single week in the NFL, and he's no longer even on a team in this league. So I think that you play him in the slot. He's small enough, and he's in the small type of package where I think he can just be a bulldog. In the nickel, he can be physical, he can play aggressively, and I think that he is exactly the type of nickel corner that Mike Tomlin loves to have, all right? I still think he's going to need to fill out his frame a little bit, but I love his technique, I love his savvy, and I think that he's going to be, a very crafty pro in the slot, and I would just love if he fell to round 5 and the Steelers picked him up. Then in round 6, I'm going to take another corner here to develop behind Darius Slay. And, take another dart throw here and hope that either Corey Trice Jr. or Nebraska's Tommy Hill ends up kind of developing. And now the thing I love about Hill is that he's got great size, super long arms. You can see it on the photo right there. And he's covering Kobe Hunter, by the way, one of my favorite. That's Travis Hunter right there. And he actually did a pretty good job of him. I mean, if you saw that Nebraska-Colorado game, they kind of shut down Travis Hunter. And, Tommy Hill's got super long arms, and he might be the best cover 2 corner, maybe even in this entire class. I think that he's so technically refined in that cover 2 role where he's playing kind of both sides, and he's got the long arms to be able to reach up, get that football if the quarterback's trying to throw that corner, but he's also got the athleticism to crash down on the flat route if that's what he wants to throw. I think that Tommy Hill is somebody that they can be deployed on 3rd downs, even on day 1 in the National Football League, because pretty much no defensive play caller likes to run Tampa 2 and pass-heavy situations more than Mike Tomlin. He loves doing that. He comes from kind of that Tampa 2 kind of school. He got his start in Tampa Bay, and he's kind of run that Tampa 2 type of system here in Pittsburgh ever since. And I think Tommy Hill, as a round 6 player, could really be a steal for the Pittsburgh Steelers at the cornerback position. Then in round 7, I'm going to take a sleeper wide receiver that I really love here in Jordan Watkins out of Ole Miss. And, I was watching some Jackson Dart film, and I was watching the game against Arkansas this past year, and I saw him throw 5 touchdowns to number 11. And I said, who the hell is this guy? There's no way he's draft eligible because I would have heard about him by now. And I looked him up. His name's Jordan Watkins. And right now on the consensus big board, he's not even projected to be drafted. All right. But you look at the profile, he's got pretty decent size, even though he's shorter. But he's got great speed, 4.37. He runs great routes. He's tough as nails. He can play in the slot or outside. I love his ability to separate down the field. I just don't know how people are not giving more love to Jordan Watkins, man. I think that he's a really good player. I think that, he can fit into whatever role the Steelers want him to play day one. Obviously the Steelers like their wide receiver room. They like DK, obviously. They like George if they don't trade him this year. They got Calvin, who they like, and they got Roman Wilson, who they drafted on day 2 last year. So I don't think they're necessarily going to invest a high draft pick in a receiver, but Watkins can fill kind of whatever role you want him to, man. He's smart. He really blocks his ass off too, which I think is something that Arthur Smith will really love. I think this is somebody that in round 7 is gettable and can be a legitimate contributor for the Pittsburgh Steelers at the wide receiver position. So here's my mock 7.0 haul for you guys here. Derek Harmon in round 1. Tyler Shuck falls to round 3. You get your quarterback. RJ Harvey, you get your running back there in round 4. You get a pair of corners in mid day 3 and Kobe Bryant and Tommy Hill. And then you get Jordan Watkins, one of my favorite sleeper receivers in this entire class. Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F for this week's mock draft. I appreciate all of your guys' support. Of course, we've got extensive draft coverage surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers leading up to the NFL draft. And then we're going to have a live coverage of every single pick of the NFL draft right here on Steelers Talk, which of course includes the Pittsburgh Steelers picks. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers. All right, so our segments are done. I did see we got some, I see we did get some super chats. And I don't, have we gotten, oh, I don't know, man. So 55 on Cashapp, 30 on, so 85, and then Venmo. Nope, we are $15 away from extending the show. Charles Kessler, $2. Appreciate you, Charles. Thanks for stopping by today's show. Charles wants Mason Rudolph and to build around him in 2025. And, I would be happy for Mason. I truly would be because, the way that the organization kind of treated him last offseason, kind of telling him that they wanted him back and, kind of stringing him along, and then at kind of the last minute, literally the last minute, the night before free agency, they say they're signing Russell Wilson. So I felt bad for Mason last year, and, after winning 3 games, having the highest passer rating in the league, the final stretch of the year, I think that he thought he was going to have his chance to start for this team, and it didn't happen, and then he didn't have a great season last year in Tennessee. So now that he's back, I understand why Steelers fans are really rooting for him. I'm rooting for him, but, I do think that you probably have a better chance of winning and having a higher upside with some other guys, but that's just my opinion. All right, man, we got over 275 people still watching, and let's put on a shot clock of 2 minutes, Jack. 2-minute shot clock. If we can get $15 more, a 10 and a 5 or a 20, we'll extend the show here for 10 minutes. 2 minutes. So 2 minutes here. If we get $15 more, then we'll extend the show by 10 minutes, and we'll talk some Steelers football here for another 10. But other than that, I'm perfectly cool starting the weekend too, Jack. It's been a really good week. We had 3 live shows on this channel this week. We had one on Monday, obviously. Then we had the big night watch party on Wednesday, which was a massive success. And then we got and then today. And you know my new theory here, Jack, on Rodgers? I still think if he makes the decision, he wants to announce it on McAfee, on the show, right? So I don't think we'll get a decision this weekend. So if you want to go on a vacation, if you want to take a nap, whatever, feel free to do it. I don't think Rodgers is making his decision. I don't think you're going to be missing any Aaron Rodgers news this weekend. $5 super chat here. Interesting question from Justin. Good question here, Justin. We will address this. We got one more minute. People are asking about the boot chug. Okay, here's what we're doing. Captain Cully is sick today. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the boot chug on Monday when Coop is back. Hopefully Cully is feeling better by Monday so that we can do that boot race. Because we promised you guys a boot race. I mean, I could just chug a boot right now, but, it wouldn't be with Cully. So we'll wait for Cully to get better on Monday, and we will do the boot then. $5 super chat from Justin says, Tony Dungy had the Steelers pick Dylan Gabriel the first round. What does he see that we don't? I've watched a number of Dylan Gabriel games from last year on film, Justin. I don't know what he's seeing. Now, I like Dylan Gabriel because I think that he's very technically refined. I think he plays with good footwork, good anticipation. I think he's supremely accurate, great throwing mechanics, all that stuff. But he's got two terrible physical characteristics, Jack. And those two characteristics are Kyler Murray's height with Tua Tagovailoa's arm. Like, he's small with a weak arm. That's the truth of it. I think he could be a really good backup for a team like Miami or Atlanta, teams that play in controlled weather situations, and then also they have lefty quarterbacks. So that's another thing with Dylan is that he's a lefty. So I think he's going to go like 4th, 5th round to either Miami or Atlanta to be a backup quarterback. And, he's one of those guys that needs like a perfect situation around him to be successful. I think his weak arm would just absolutely suck here in Pittsburgh, just to be frank. So we had the timer run out on us here. We didn't get to 100 today, but that's perfectly fine. Go spend your money elsewhere. Enjoy your evening. Go to a bar, go to a restaurant, go to a movie. Have some fun with your friends. Have a great Friday night, guys. I will see you guys after the weekend. I'll be back next week. Producer Coop will be back next Monday. If you would have told me when Coop left that Aaron Rodgers would still not be signed with the Steelers by the time he got back, I wouldn't have believed you, but it's looking like that's probably what's going to be the case at this point. So I appreciate you guys. This is an awesome week of live coverage here on Steelers Talk yet again. There's only more to come with the NFL draft less than 2 weeks away. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.